People keep on changing their husband, changing their wife, changing their furniture, changing their vehicles, changing their houses, thinking that from these things, from these changes, I'll have happiness. Based on our own experience, it is clearly proved that at the end of the day, as you already mentioned, that it has to come from within oneself. Now, what do you mean by that happiness, long-lasting happiness has to come from within oneself? What do you mean by that? For example, if there are 3-4 days continuous rain, a person who doesn't have the right mental outlook, mental perspective, will start cursing the weather. Damn this weather. It has been raining continuously for the last 3-4 days. You get angry. Just by getting angry, do you think the weather will say, I'm sorry, I'll stop? So that is called unnecessary suffering, unnecessary problem, you see. So what you need to say, whether it is in terms of your relation with the external environment, weather, rain, heat, and so forth. Similarly, in terms of your relationship with others, you need to think, you need to realize the fact that other person also want happiness, do not want suffering. That other person is not something that you should try to control. Just as if somebody tries to control you, you don't feel happy. Similarly, you should also realize that person also has his own aspirations, his own wishes, his own desires, right? So it is not at all, right to judge that other person, right? Just as you would maintain a harmonious relationship with others, generally speaking, without much criticizing. So similarly with other people also. Make a separation between the wrongdoing and the wrongdoer. Normally we don't make distinction. When somebody commits a little bit mistake, we say, this woman is horrible, this man is nasty. We don't make a distinction. But when you make the same mistake, you make the distinction. I'm sorry, I slipped. Meaning that basically I'm a gentleman, I'm a good person, but the mistake has happened. So you make a distinction. So just as you make a distinction between yourself and your wrongdoing, similarly make a distinction between the wrongdoer and wrongdoing of other person. With the wrongdoing, you can always challenge it, but always give opportunity for that wrongdoer to remain in the society, to become a good member of the society, to become a good person. What do you think is the main source, the most important cause for long-lasting happiness? Is it outside or inside? So funny. I've asked this question in America, in Russia, in Singapore, in Israel, in Africa, so many countries. Everybody, when they're sitting and thinking, they say, it has to come from within. But that is not how we think in our daily life. That's the problem. That's not how we think. Normally we think happiness will come from outside. Now, especially if you go to the more developed countries, they have this tendency of thinking that your happiness will come from outside. You get married to somebody, and that marriage, thinking that happiness will come from this marriage. And then this marriage doesn't work, then you start thinking, oh, this is the problem of this particular man or woman. So you get divorced, and then you think the next marriage will be a guarantee for long-lasting happiness. That also doesn't work. So in this way, people keep on changing their husband, changing their wife, changing their furniture, changing their vehicles, changing their houses, thinking that from these things, from these changes, I'll have happiness. But it is now not only taught in Buddhism, but it is not only proved in science, but it is based on our own experience. It is clearly proved that at the end of the day, as you already mentioned, that it has to come from within oneself. Now what do you mean by that happiness, long-lasting happiness has to come from within oneself? What do you mean by that? Happiness coming from within oneself means that how much or how durable your happiness is very much dependent upon your mental perspective, your mental outlook, how you see things. That, for example, if you're a person thinking that you are having 100% suffering, let us say. It is now found out of that 100% so-called suffering which you thought you are afflicted with, 60-70% of that suffering is not even suffering. Look at this. 60-70% I'm saying is not even suffering. What is it? Just your mental projection. Even by the look, you start thinking, oh, this person don't like me, this woman don't like me, you know, this man is spying after me, this woman is spying after me, things like that. You doubt this, you develop this unnecessary doubt, suspicion, you know. So it's your mental projection.